Good morning, welcome to GrainTV. Today is March 30th, 2012. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right is Cody Bills. Cody, the markets are open in Chicago. Let's hop over to the Fire Tip platform and see how the trade's panning out here on the big planting intentions day. As you can see, corn up lock limit on that May contract, up 40. We see old crop beans up 53 3/4. Wheat up 47 on the Chicago contract, up 37 in Kansas City. You know, the new crop contracts really lagging behind those old crop contracts. We see new crop corn up only 14.5 in light of that 95.9 million acres that the USDA dropped on the market here this morning. But really pushing those old crop contracts is that quarterly stocks number. Can you take us through what we were seeing there?
Absolutely, yeah. The quarterly stocks number for soybeans and wheat came in right around on the low side of analyst expectations. But if you look at corn, we were 150 million bushels lower than what the market anticipated and 500 million bushels lower than what we saw last year. So the bottom line here is I think this is the big number. This is going to stick. This is going to be the theme all throughout the summer, and we're going to have to see higher prices to ration out some of this demand.
Yeah, certainly. Kind of a short stock scenario shaping up as we saw last year. Prices might be moving higher here in the near term, you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, the other big story here coming out this morning was our planted acreage report. Take a look here. As we said before, 95.9 million acres of corn. That was higher than some of the highest analyst expectations that we saw. Beans and wheat both kind of on the low end of expectations. 73.9 million acres for beans, 55.9 million acres for wheat. Cody, I know we looked into a little bit state by state where we were picking up corn acres this morning. What states were leading the charge here?
All right, let's just go right through it. North Dakota, huge acreage increases here. We're talking 1,000 acres, so this is 1.1 million acres. South Dakota adding 300,000 acres. Minnesota, 600,000 acres. Iowa, 500,000 acres. So we're seeing significant gains in the the Northwest. We did see gains in the eastern part of the Corn Belt, but it just wasn't as much. Illinois was the one thing that stood out here. They actually lost corn acres, and it was interesting if you compare that to the revenue model. That was the only place that really looked like it was going to lose some corn acres to beans in terms of the overall revenue opportunity in planting beans. So that's a kind of an interesting note. So let's just look here. Of the northwestern states, we see 3 million of the 3.9 million acres added on for this WASDE report. Logan, what do we see for beans?
Yeah, Cody, kind of the same story here in the bean market. You know, we saw around 400,000 acres picked up in the Dakotas. They were kind of leaders to the upside here on beans that came out below the trade expectations. As you said before, it was kind of interesting to look at Illinois here. They picked up 100,000 acres of beans, and that was kind of in line with the profitability analysis that we did a while ago. Farmers do have the incentive in Illinois right now to plant soybeans. Interesting enough, we lost 500,000 acres of beans in Iowa. You know, that was kind of accounted for by the acres we picked up by corn. So kind of an interesting story there. But, you know, this report was compiled by data from the beginning of March. The market was a lot different then. You know, we looked at some of the futures spreads here and the ratios between these new crop contracts. And let's hop right into there right now. As you can see here, we're looking at a December 2012 corn contract. This vertical line was on March 1st. As you can see, we lost about 60 cents on this corn contract since that time. Moving over to beans here real quick, you can see that it's been a totally different story. Beans have gained in price, I guess, on that new crop contract since March 1st. And how does that relate to the ratio? The ratio of new crop beans to new crop corn is growing exponentially right now. So, I mean, what does this mean to producers out there? Corn acres that are allocated right now, if there are weather holdups here, they could be moving over to beans. Right now, the bean market's screaming for beans, saying we're going to need more come October.
Yeah, I think the big thing that you need to take away from this is that because this report was done in March on March 1st, but we saw it was significant improvements in the ratio for soybeans over corn.
Right.
And so I think that this report may not be. I think what we're seeing is maybe a little bit of an overestimate for corn, a little bit of an underestimate for beans. So I think you're going to see acres switch there if you see any revisions. But from this point forward, whoever has actually allocated acres to corn, allocated acres to soybeans, I don't think we're going to see any big switches from here on forward, especially when it comes to any sort of economic developments. I think the big changes will come from weather. I think that we will be focusing on weather going forward and seeing how this planting season unfolds. Just remember, hot, warm weather during planting is going to favor corn over beans.
Right, certainly. Well, a lot of moving parts here to this report. You know, as we move through planting season, we'll keep you updated on Twitter. Follow us at GrainTV is where you can find us. I think that wraps up our show here for Friday. Have a great weekend.